things that we do as human beings is we might learn to forgive others the wrongs they do to us, but sometimes we are pretty hard on ourselves and we forget to forgive ourselves, and this is a big mistake. We need to learn to forgive ourselves just as much as we need to learn and practice forgiving others. It's absolutely vital. You know, when Christ was asked by the Pharisees, it was kind of a bit of a word trap, really. They were setting him up, sort of like television interviewers do with people all the time, a lot of the times. But they said to him, so what is the most important commandment of Moses? And Christ said, the number one commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart and all your mind and all your strength. And the second commandment is just like it. It's a real key phrase there. The second commandment is just like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. Now that's a key there. That's a principle that we need to lay hold of. Forget, what your religious dogmas are. Forget what your religious point of view is for the moment. And the truism there is that we need to forgive others as we forgive ourselves. So it's like a two-way street. It's not an either-or option. If I'm going to forgive you, I need to forgive me. I've found many, many times in the hundreds and hundreds of hours of counselling that I've done over the years, one-on-one I'm talking about, and the thousands of hours of presentations I've given around the world in public formats, that altruistic people are often very conscious of helping others outside themselves, and sometimes they neglect the importance of themselves. I'm reminded of the messaging that comes over the airline speakers when you're travelling anywhere, where they go through the safety procedures before the flight takes off, and the statement goes something like, in the case of an emergency, tend to yourself first before taking care of your children. Now, for most adults that are mums or dads or even care about children, they generally think of children ahead of themselves. But if you're flying around an aircraft that's wobbling all over the place and nose diving and all the rest of it, if you're not belted in and you're not strapped in and you can't breathe and you haven't taken care of yourself, you won't be much help to anyone else, and certainly not for long. But if you take care of yourself first, then you could be in a position to make give meaningful assistance to somebody else. And so this is partly, perhaps not an ideal illustration, but partly the idea here that we need to love others as we love ourselves. We need to forgive others as we forgive ourselves. It's not one move. It's like if you're a sports person, let's say you're a tennis player, you cannot have a great forehand without bringing your racket back to take the stroke. You can't have a great golf swing if you don't swing the club back first. And so you can't shoot an arrow unless you pull the arrow back first. Then you can create that forward momentum. And so there's a sense where we need to put our own seatbelt on first. We need to look after ourselves first, but not to the exclusion of helping others, our neighbours, our families, our friends, our children, but to be able to help them more. So if I'm caught up in my own world of unforgiveness, resentment and bitterness, how can I possibly help you get free from the same web? If I'm caught in a trap like the monkey with his hand in the peanut jar, won't get free of the trap because he won't let go of the peanuts and free himself. How can I help you, my neighbour, my family, my friend, someone I care about? How can I help you when I can't free myself? And this, I think, is the great teaching here, that we need to learn to forgive ourselves. And when you get away in that quiet time, that quiet space, whether you do it in prayer and meditation and whatever your system happens to be, you need to do it. Find what works for you, but you need a quiet space where you can be alone with yourself and your own heart and thoughts. You need to, first of all, clean out your own house. When you've cleaned out your own house, then you can assist others. And this is so important. Learn to forgive yourself. Practice self-forgiveness. And sometimes that's it can be a regular routine until you master the art of it and you learn the habit of it. And it becomes from just a practice that you try 1 or 2 times to something that you regularly do. You keep short accounts with yourself and you don't let debts build up to the point that it just becomes overwhelming. Where the heck do I start with all of this, So start chipping away at it. Get back to the, level playing field, so to speak, and practice forgiving yourself. Let yourself go. Let yourself be free. Let go of the anger, the resentment, the bitterness, the unforgiveness towards whoever it may be. And see what happens in your world. Try it. I recommend it.